What's happening once again, everyone? We're going to do a little podcast, a real fast one. It's just an update. It's just kind of like me recording some notes real quick. So it is March the 6th. The water temps at Lake of the Ozarks have gone up to 47 degrees. They've been running a lot of water. So that has helped the bite for me for bass. I'm catching a lot more fish shallow. I think that's due more to the water temperature than it is them running water. But it has really pulled the shad off the bank that I was catching, I think, last Monday. So I think there's I think there's going to be a lot of fish caught all over the place here in the next few weeks. But there will be a lot of fish that are moving up. I think you can catch them on a crankbait pretty good right now. Last Monday, remember I said I caught them on the flat side. I think a wiggle wort's going to work right now. I forgot I did fish yesterday, so I was up the river yesterday during the Anglers in Action tournament, and I wasn't in the tournament. I was just messing around, and there was a lot of fish that were in that 5-foot range. So you could throw a jerkbait on them or you could throw a jig, but we had a lot of wind yesterday, and that jerkbait, if you were in water with enough clarity, the jerkbait was king. I don't know if you can throw an Alabama rig and AIA. I don't know the rules of it. But there was some big sacks. Of course, Brock and Brad, the dynamic duo, I think came away with that win. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe there was Ozark Mountain Team Trail on Saturday. There was AIA on Sunday, and I think some other tournaments going on. I think Brock and Brad won the Ozark Mountain Team Trail, and someone else won the AIA, so that's a correction. I am not looking at notes. This is all off the top of my head. But it was that 20 to 23 pound range that you usually see this time of year at Lake of the Ozarks. So things are happening. I guarantee you could catch deep fish, and when I say deep, 12 to 15 foot, maybe more than 15, but the majority of the fish are in that 5 to 12, and it depends on where you're at. So if you're on a bank that has a transition from chunk rock all the way to maybe a pea gravel area that's flatter, you might have some fish shallower. So you might concentrate in that 4 to 5 foot range. If you're on a bluff end, of course, you might be sitting in 30 feet of water and throwing up into 8 or 10, or it just depends on where you're at. But for the majority, a really good pattern right now is the transition banks. I think more than the secondary points. Of course, you can catch them on secondary points, but the transition banks, the 45-degree banks, and that's typical March or typical Lake of the Ozarks in March. Now, there are fish staging on those docks in those areas. So I did catch some fish on a jig today. I had a lot better jig bite today than I did a jerkbait. So one day it's the jerkbait, one day it's the jig. Just kind of depends on what mood they're in and where the shad are. And with those shad being really pushed out, I think that the bass want to be up there. They want to be in that pre-spawn stage, and they're tired of roaming around like pelagic crappie that we have now that are just roaming around with shad in the middle of the abyss. So I guess that's what they're doing. And with the warming trends that we've been having, that crawdad type bite has been pretty good. I did way better when I had a critter crawl with a small finesse jig than I did. I threw a Chompers or a Yamamoto hula grub. Actually, I scaled down to the 4-inch because they were eating the finesse jig so well, and I had broken it off and threw the 4-inch, and I did have some good bites on it. I did not connect. I don't know if we're starting to have more bites with the bluegill and things like the smaller fish messing with the bait, which is actually a good sign because there's more life shallow now than there was even a few weeks ago. But I did not catch a keeper on the 4-inch Yamamoto hula grub. I caught all the keepers on I had a homemade brown jig, and then I did catch some on a Dirk's jig before I broke it off. But the best trailer today was the Critter Crawl on those jigs, but that is the only one that I tried. I'm sure a beaver would have worked. I'm sure a Missile Baits, the Money Chunk, that is an awesome little trailer, stuff like that. But I think less action, still better. Not saying you can't catch one, putting a double-tailed grub on there as we have for 100 years. But I think your pork trailers, your Critter Craws, your Yamamoto Fat Baby Craw, what else do we have? We have tons of trailers that don't have a lot of action that are working well. So 47 degrees, that's just going to increase. I say that due to the longer daylight hours. The water temp might stay a little bit steady due to the weather that is coming our way. It is not going to be a crazy impact. It's not going to get below freezing, but we are not going to have the highs of 65 like we have today. I think it's actually 70 degrees outside today. I think we're going to drop down to where our highs are in the 40s and not quite above the 50 mark. So things will kind of slow down a little bit because we are racing into the spring. I am literally watching my grass turn green as we speak, which is good. I just don't want to have a spawn way too early, which I don't think they will. But I like a gradual spring. I don't want to turn around and it's 100 degrees outside by May. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm not complaining. But that's the fishing report right now. There's not really a whole lot more to say about it. This weekend is the Bfl, or no, not B. It's the TBF. The TBF at Table Rock. It's the qualifier for the regional that will be in Milford, Kansas in September. So, going to go down to Table Rock once again. Hopefully, I can kind of duplicate what I did at the BFL, and I think the bite will be even better. Maybe more jig fish, more wiggle wart type fish. I just love that bite, and the spinnerbait's going to come into play. It's ready. It's rigged. I've got the Tackle HD Ozark Flash spinnerbaits ready to go. I've got the nickel spinnerbaits ready to go. Of course, I've got my old War Eagles, the old standbys, and I'm ready for a good spinnerbait bite. And I'm going to go big this year on the spinnerbait. I want to catch some big 6, 7, 8 pounders on a spinnerbait. I really want to hit that 8-pound mark. Haven't done that in a while in Missouri, so this is the time of year to do that. So let's get with it. If you have any questions, let me know. JaredSheltonFishing.com, JRodFishing.com, Jared Shelton on Facebook. You guys know where to find me. Get out there and go fishing. It's the best time of year to be on the water.